All right, folks, welcome back to yet another episode of Fresh Juice, an indie game podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy Fresh, and joined as always, it is
Maddie, Juice. Boy, am I tired, Tommy. Boy, am I tired, but I'm excited to talk about some indie games.
oh yeah. We got a big review today. We had a long weekend, and we are ready to talk some games. It's going to be a good time. We're talking about Absolum today. We're going to review this game. I put a lot of time into this game, and I still am. If that says anything about what I potentially will think about the rating, but excited to hop into that. Some notable releases this week, and then talking a little bit about news and answer some listener questions and recommending some stuff. But before we do all of that, what's going on? What's new? Saw you this weekend.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, we went to our friend Bags, his wedding. He got married. He did it. He
Ooh.
tied the knot. Shout out to Bags. Had a great time. Um, you know, uh we actually showed up a little bit earlier on Thursday because they had the rehearsal dinner that night. Went and had some lunch at Founding Farmers that I know I've talked about on the show before. Really good place, good food and stuff. Um, and yeah, then rehearsal dinner. Just kind of weekend, just swept away. With wedding stuff, a lot of waiting around as a groomsman. As it normally is, right? You just kind of chilling, waiting, some pictures here and there. Um, we were dumb, didn't bring my Switch
Oh.
I didn't bring like cards, like nothing. So we were just like chilling. Yeah, so just had to kill a little time there. And then yeah, then the wedding was a great time. We went out to brunch the next day, and then yeah, yesterday just watched a little football. Today is Monday. Unfortunately, it's my last day of my bonding leave. I'm going back to work tomorrow, but
Mm.
I do work from home, so at least there's that, but I'm still not looking forward to it. And I was like, all right, I can maybe get like, I won't be like so tired because I knew I'd be tired after the wedding. And the baby had other plans. I'll tell you, the baby's like, you are not going to sleep. I'm gonna wake up, every hour, make sure you're awake. No, but yeah, and also I probably also pushed myself because I was like, I just want to play some video games before I have to go back to work. So let me just binge a little bit. But yeah, so I'm feeling tired, but I'm feeling, I'm not excited. I was gonna say excited. I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm doing good overall. How are you doing, Tommy?
I'm good. I'm good. I definitely got more rest than you. I also went to the same wedding, cut out early on Thursday, went down to Philly, grabbed. I was like, you know what? Because you kind of gave me the idea. You said you guys were going to lunch, and I was like, oh, maybe we can get down and eat something before we go to this rehearsal dinner. And I was like, you know what? I always wanted to go to John's Roast Pork. I love roast pork sandwiches. I told Lady Fresh, we're going down. We're going to do it. And it was worth it. It was so good. I I mean, I felt like I just smelled like pork all weekend. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't, but it was so good. And I can't wait to go back, to be honest with you. Now, what else did I do? Did the wedding thing, and then after we did brunch on Saturday, I had agreed to take pictures of my buddy Kurt's engagement. He said a couple months ago, I'm gonna pop the question. I'm probably gonna have to get pictures of it because that's like her requirement somehow. And I was like, I just bought a new camera. And he's like, do you want to do it? And I said, absolutely. Let's do this. So we're doing it at this park. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to hide. Right. And the morning of, we're still at the hotel from the wedding, the morning of, because, I know specifically that his now fiance likes a certain angle, right, of pictures because for whatever reason, doesn't matter. But she likes a certain angle of pictures. So I'm like, I call Kurt. I'm like, hey, man, are you free right now? I got to talk to you about fantasy football, which obviously that was not the case. Just
Yeah.
making sure. I'm like being all secretive. And I'm like, we got to make sure she's facing this way from these pictures. And he's like, oh, I know. She's on it. I'm like, what do you mean she's on it? She's like, yeah, she's so annoying. She definitely knows something's going on. Because he bought me like a bottle of bourbon as like a thank you. And she's like, "Oh, what's that for?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just somebody's helping me out with a favor." And then like, a couple minutes later, like he's not even paying attention. She's like, "Hey, does Tom have a camera?" And he's like not even thinking. He goes, "Yeah, I mean, no." So the jig was up, but I was like hiding in the bushes. I was like crouched down. She definitely saw me, started laughing, and I got some pictures. It was cool. They're very
Nice.
happy,
Nice.
and that was cool. And then Sunday, I went to a charity event, charity Flesh and Blood event out in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. This really cool store, Portal Comics and Games, and they were doing just a random event for one of their store managers who going through breast cancer. All the proceeds went to that. I donated some prizes. A bunch of people donated some prizes, and it was a lot of fun. That was just like it was good to just go to a non. I mean, like it was still competitive because the prizing was like really good because everybody donated really cool stuff. But like it was just like good vibes all around, and
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. And
Nice.
then yeah, watched a little bit of football. My Packers eked out a win. We now I okay. All right. This is some Packers talk real quick.
Oh boy.
We've won 4 games this season. Did you know this?
Are you? What are you?
4-1-1.
4-1-1. Okay.
Yeah, 4-1-1.
All right. 4-1-1.
4 games this season. You know what score it was? You know how many points we scored every single time we won this season?
4. No.
27 points. Okay.
Really? Every
Yeah,
win
pretty.
had 27 points.
Yeah, we scored
Wow.
27 points. Okay. You know how old Brett Favre was when we won the Super Bowl with Brett Favre?
27?
27. Now, do you know how old Aaron Rodgers was when we won the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers?
27.
27. And do you know how old Jordan Love is right now? 27.
27. Oh my God. It's going to
I
happen.
I hate that it's lining up. I hate that it's lining up because it's gonna suck when it doesn't happen. But it's just I feel like that movie with Jim Carrey, the number 33 or whatever. It's like
Yeah,
look at that, this is
23
20.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So
Well, too bad it's
uh,
not 2027 next year for the Super
true.
Bowl on February 27th. I mean, it would just
Mm,
it'd be a lock at that point,
it'd
you
be a
know.
luck. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Um,
wild. That's wild.
it is crazy, right?
Yeah.
It is such a weird coincidence. And funny enough, when we hit 27 points yesterday, I was like, we're winning. We're going to win.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
it.
They should just call the game right there.
They called the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Let's
anyway,
let's keep that streak going too. That'd be ridiculous. That'd be
that
even more ridiculous probably than like, all these like connections to
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre is just every
Like just
win has been 27 points.
yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild, but
Mm,
yeah, but that's it. Back to work today and
yeah.
um got a busy week seeing my friend Jack on Friday, but I'll talk about all that next week. Let's talk about some indie games and some news. First, big news. Boom. Discord. Fresh Juice Discord's a great place to hang out and to give us listener questions and interact with us, which we will do. And that's all in the show notes below. Now, what are some notable releases this week? First, I think a game that we're going to review in 2 weeks, probably at this point, Ball X Pit, unless something else comes up. I mean, it's pretty hyped up right now. I've
Yeah.
already played a little bit of it. It is very fun. So I have to imagine we will be talking about it at least in some
Hmm.
capacity Definitely want to give it some more time. Although I think you kind of get the gist after a little bit, but there's a lot to unlock and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
um, Ball X Pit, you said you watched some streams of it.
Yeah, I actually I didn't pick it up on the launch sale. I should have. I don't know, I just forgot to be honest. But yeah, I've been watching a good amount of it, and then today, just while I was like feeding the baby, I was like, let me just throw a stream on for Ball X Pit. And I was like hooked. I was like, this looks awesome, especially I won't get like too much into it, but it's kind of cool that like when you're outside of like the levels, you're kind of building like your little farm, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
doing brick breaker stuff there in order to like harvest stuff from your farm, which is kind
Yeah.
of cool. Uh, yeah, so it just seemed like a game that like had a lot of surprises in it. So I'm excited to check it out. Might need to end up getting it full price, but it looks really cool. You mentioned it's kind of like a vampire survivory, sort of like spin-off kind of game. I can definitely get that from like what I watched today with the gameplay. Um, there's definitely like things I would change about the game in terms of like the UI and stuff, but uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to check it out. It seems really cool, and obviously, as you can see here, it's overwhelmingly positive on Steam, so it's really getting that good feedback, which is awesome. So, yeah, I gotta check it out. Gotta check it out.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a couple bundles with some games that you might already own, so I don't know if you'll be able to
Yeah, I'll
get
have to
that.
check it out. I see Billionaire. They got a bundle.
Mm,
Definitely got that and Vampire Survivors. So yeah, I'll have to see. But Devolver,
but
man, looks like another
yeah,
winner on their hands.
yeah, yeah. It is cool. I'm excited to talk about it a little bit more. Probably not a perfect game, but certainly, you know, I think the it's going to end up being a little bit of a classic because I think people just love these little dopamine hit games, and this seems to be another good one. So,
Yep.
um, what is this other game? Necessi?
Yeah, or Necess, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but actually, some buddies of ours, Pat and Cam, were playing this because it just released in 1.0. It's been in early access for like 6 years, and it's kind of like from how they described it, it's like Terraria and like Core Keeper like had a
Hmm.
baby. So it's kind of this like infinite procedurally generated world. You can play alone or with friends. It almost has like a Vampire Survivors like kind of at least in like some of the clips I've seen, like that sort of vibe when you're dealing with a lot of different enemies. But it definitely kind of reminded me more of like, Core Keeper in terms of like the exploration. So yeah, it's called Necess. It's out in 1.0 right now. It's 50% off too until October 30th. So it's only $7. And I've been seeing a lot of people give this game a ton of praise, especially like watching people on Twitch play it. And you can see like the English reviews overwhelmingly positive. Recent reviews very positive. So a lot of love coming this way for Necess. And I actually was able uh, to get a key for it. So I just need to carve out some time to play it and check it out. You can even do like a dedicated server for it as well, so you and your friends can kind of join in whenever you want. But yeah, it seems pretty cool. Seems like it's got some interest in the Discord as well, in my own Discord at least. So might check it out soon. But seems like another indie game on the list. There's too many this year, Tom, of how many indie games can come out that are overwhelmingly positive that I need to carve out time to play. So it seemed cool, and I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, I saw that it was at 50% off sale, and I think also there was a bundle with like Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which I think I also have. So like I got it for less than $7. I haven't dug into it yet, but it's nice to keep these kind of games in your arsenals if you just want to check out something. Not sure if we'll review it or anything like that, but yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
I I have funny enough with Terraria, I've played Terraria, I played it a decent amount. I never really stick with it, right? And I don't know why. but maybe Necess is a better um, fit for me. So we'll see.
Yeah, I was the same way with Terraria, where I feel like I played a decent amount of it, but I didn't stick with it for whatever reason. But this one, yeah, it seems maybe a little bit more up my alley, just in terms of like the overall vibe and theme of the game. I'm like, kind of seems pretty cool
Hmm.
compared to like Terraria. So yeah, we'll have to see. Have to see.
Yeah, and finally, Slots and Daggers, October 24th. I
Yeah.
think I saw some people playing this on YouTube already. Maybe there was a demo, um, but I think from the words of Northern Lion himself, I think, does this one have the juice? It might have the juice. So another slot machine roguelite.
Yep. Another one. Your Clover Pit competitor
Runeborn.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, this one seems it definitely seems like maybe like less is going on. It's kind of all contained to just like the slot machine, unlike Clover Pit where you're kind of looking around and there's a little bit more to it, I feel like. But I have seen some people say that they really enjoyed the demo for this game. There was a demo. There is still a demo, it looks like, on Steam, excuse me, for this game. So yet another one to keep an eye on. I don't like freaking indie devs. They're cooking this year. They're just cooking, and it's gonna reach a point where like we're like, all right, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough slices. But but for now, I mean, bring them on. Bring me all the slot machine roguelites. Bring everything in that realm to me. Um, yeah, so probably check it out
Yeah.
at some point, but looks pretty cool.
Yeah, these slot machine. I was a little bit hesitant on the slot machine games, right? And then I committed to Clover Pit, and it's such a nice mindless. Like I get the appeal of slot machines, right? I never really play slot machines at the casino. I'm like a blackjack or three card poker guy, but I could see why people sit there for 12 hours a day. You're just like, I could not think at all, and sometimes I'll win.
Yep.
And, that is, uh, I get it. I understand. So, Slots and Daggers, another one, add to the list. I did download Runeborn. I haven't played it yet, but, golly. So, it's the year of the slot machine, I
Yeah,
think. So,
it is.
but hey, those are some notable releases we're looking at this week. But in terms of news, there wasn't a whole lot. But I did see this one article about the God of War Ragnarok lead says AAA studios should quote diversify into double A and single A, and then perhaps indie, even if blockbuster releases result in potentially really large payoffs. I think here's the other quote. I think gamers right now are a little bit desensitized to beautiful graphics and size and scale and scope. And this one really stuck out to me because I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of people still look for that, but there's a certain amount of homogeny, I think, when it comes to like, well, if every AAA release is just going to be this big, grandiose
Hmm.
thing, it becomes less special, right? If every movie was Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't care anymore, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just like kind of it. And this is not a knock on these games; they're totally fine and they offer great experiences. But I think that there is going to be a point where people are just going to want different things, and I think we're starting to see that with, like you said before, all these overwhelmingly positive reviews on weird, quirky indie games.
Yeah.
But what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's interesting and kind of I feel like something we've talked a little bit about before, especially like when there's like the triple I showcase. Okay, we're like, okay, what's triple I? So there's all these different classifications that are happening, and I do think it would be really helpful from an award standpoint as well. if there were
Hmm.
these classifications set up, because as we know, like there was the Dave the Diver controversy. There's I feel like from now on, there's always going to be a controversy of like, why is this considered an indie game? In the indie game category, if they have maybe a big publisher behind them, something like that. And then, also indie games being nominated for Game of the Year, right? Like we saw with like Balatro. How many people were
Hmm.
like, hating on Balatro because it was
Yeah.
nominated for a Game of the Year? They're like, oh, it's just like a poker game, which in our thoughts, like it should have been
Yeah.
nominated. That's fair, but like maybe there's different varieties of Game of the Year awards that happen if these classifications are set into place, and then maybe there's an overall Game of the Year award, something like that, with a little bit more kind of build up, I guess you could say. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of trying to kind of split these things out, because you know, as kind of time has gone on, I feel like it's just gotten like the water's gotten like murkier and murkier. In terms of like, is this indie? Is this non-indie? I like, even for a game that I'm going to talk about in the rec room, I had to look up to see if it was indie. So I was like, I have no idea. And then it turns out, at least like the AI told me on Google, that it wasn't. So I was like, okay, it's not. But like, I didn't know, because like the game looks really great, but I'm also like, it kind of has like a feel that it's like indie. So yeah, I think these classifications could definitely help. And I agree as well, as that, these big AAA studios, like, let's not just do these like high fidelity games that maybe are like really shallow. Like, I feel like there's a lot of games that come out that look great, but the gameplay's not really there supporting it. I think actually, weird to say, but I feel like EA as a publisher has done like a decent job of publishing like indie games that are like Unravel, for example, and
Hmm.
obviously like It Takes Two, Split Fiction. Like I feel like they've always kind of had their hand in like these kind of like I don't know if they have a specific
Double
name, like,
A, single
yeah,
A.
exactly. I don't know if they call them like EA Indies. I feel like they have a name for them. So I would like to see more and more studios do something like that as well. And yeah, these classifications would definitely help. But in terms of like, how do you get the industry to agree on certain things? That's a whole different story. I have no idea how this would even get um, officially kind of classified. But it is a good thought. It's a good idea for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to see. Now, you also shared a game that punishes players who skip cutscenes.
Yeah, so this is a game called Baby Steps, which has been getting also a lot of positive feedback. And it is from Bennett Foddy. And he is also known for, he's known for like intentionally frustrating games, like Getting Over It or Quap. Quap's a really popular one. So in Baby Steps, basically, if you skip too many cutscenes, there is a 28-minute cutscene at the end of the game, talking like, it's basically, there's a whole clip of it on YouTube, but they're basically complaining, about you skipping all the cutscenes. Like, we put in all
Hmm.
this work. Why would you skip all the cutscenes? And so this just popped up. I thought it was kind of funny because it's obviously maddening for like regular players, but like speedrunners out there, like, have to make the decision of like, is skipping every cutscene going to save me more time than just watching that 28-minute clip at the end? Um, you know, yeah, so I just thought it was kind of interesting, kind of funny. And obviously not something that I think like games should adopt, anything like that, but definitely fitting for a game like Baby Steps, where you're basically trying to walk, through these kind of different obstacle courses and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, I think. Um, but yeah, I would definitely not do well with it. I mean, I don't like cutscenes in general. I think like it depends, right? I think that some games can just overdo it. I think you
Mm,
have to just make it make sense. I think some games just like we got let's show off what we can do in these cutscenes. No, 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 just progress the story, do some cool stuff maybe,
yeah.
but yeah, no, this is hilarious though because I would be I would be screwed. I would be asking for a refund on this game. I would, I think, just because I'm like, I can't actually play this game because
Yeah.
it's, yeah, but very, very cool to see just like, like people take the next step in terms of like creative liberty, I guess, in a
Hmm.
way where there's like, listen, you have to enjoy or else. But
Yeah.
cool stuff.
And it fits, for a game like this that's supposed to be like kind of frustrating. Kind of fits. Obviously, if there was something like this in a game that didn't have that kind of vibe, it would be very, very annoying. But yeah, it's almost like this is like a little Easter egg. But yeah, interesting for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, funny enough, I think the other the other article was a better transition into into the game we're going to talk about. But you know what? We are just rolling with it. We have a game to talk about this week. Absalom or Absolum. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced, but it is developed by Dot Emu or Dotemu or something like that. It's either I don't know how it's pronounced. Guard Crush Games and Super Monks, and published by Dot Emu and Gamira Games. It's on Steam, Switch, and PS5, and it is $24.99 full price. Fight as the outcast heroes of Talum in a fierce battle to retake magic from Sun King Azra's grasp in Absolum, an original roguelite beat 'em up by Dot Emu, who are it was either Dot Emu or Guard Crush Games brought us. I should double check this, but Streets of Rage 4,
Yeah.
which is kind of known as one of the best beat 'em ups in recent memory. And let me
Yeah.
see who
Dot
else
emo.
here.
Yeah.
And then also one of them brought us a Ninja Gaiden game this year,
Yeah.
perhaps.
I think it was
Was
Dot
Dot
emo
Emu 2?
actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're just
Yeah.
cranking them all out.
Yeah.
Um, so and they did the Marvel Comic Invasion, some Metal Slug stuff. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden, Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, or Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge. So they got
Turtles.
some
Yeah. I want to play
turtles.
that game.
Yeah. Is it like Frogger? Because I'm in. But so they clearly have their some kind of like weight with this genre of beat 'em ups, which is a genre. I think before we get into the review, I should say that I don't have a ton of experience outside of just being a gamer who's played them right from time to time. Arcades usually. Maybe a
Yeah.
few demos at like PAX, stuff like that, which I've always kind of enjoyed them, but never really thought. I always thought they kind of just lived in the arcade realm. I never really, delved into them as like an adult gamer. I guess I should say. But that being said, getting into this gameplay, I was so impressed with this game and how the controls felt. You hop in, you have this arsenal of different kinds of moves you can do, and then and I'll explain. You'll be able to upgrade those moves as you go through in this roguelike fashion, where you have your regular fast attack, a heavy attack, you have a dodge, you have a like parry, you have a like just like a deflect, and you have some aerial stuff too that you can kind of upgrade through your runs. So basically, you got this classic beat 'em up move set, right? There's going to be a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
combos and like just smashing enemies and stuff like that. Initially, when I hopped in, I'm like kind of just button mashing. And then as I kind of learned the game and learned the moves, I started to actually like, you know, feel the skill expression that the game does have. Now, where like, that kind of beat 'em up gameplay is fun. What really got to me here was the roguelite um, elements, right? So you hop in, you pick, one of two abilities. You can later upgrade up to three, like in the classic choose three roguelite fashion. They're called rituals. There's going to be different kinds of rituals that you can find. They're all these like, really cool looking crystals that will have different abilities, and they will upgrade a certain move, whether it's your parry, which is called a clash, or your heavy attack, or your light attack, and you're going to kind of create builds through your run to kind of try to get to the end and win. Now, it's not necessarily procedurally generated, but there is a variation. You're always going the same way because it is a story based game. We'll talk about that. But you're going the same way, but each level is going to have a little bit different kind of enemy like randomness, as
Mm-hmm.
well as some, discoverables and loot and stuff like that. And yeah, you're going to go through, you're going to be going from level to level and, you know, beating however many enemies there are in that level, or doing whatever the level requires you to do, whether it's like break a certain thing to unlock something, yada, yada, yada. And you're going to be going through that, and then you're going to have bosses and elite fights and stuff like that. So you're going to go through three areas to try to win this game. The first area is this kind of area where you can, each area has an ability to go left or right. There's a fork in the road. So the first area, there's a forest, or you're going to go down the beach, and then you're going to experience different things based on that decision. And you're going to go through, and there's going to be a final boss in that island area, and then you're going to go to the next. You're going to do that, and then you're going to go to the final boss. Classic 3-act kind of thing going on here with like a lot of the roguelites out there. And the coolest thing about this, outside of just going back after you die and upgrading stuff, like the meta progression that you find in like a lot of these kinds of games, is that there are story quests and things happening on the map for you to go back to on your next run. So it's not just
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, can I get further and do better this time? It's also like, oh, I got to go find this and complete this quest to unlock another part of the story, unlock some stuff back at the home base, and kind of continue the meta progression. I think that's really the huge selling point to me on this game, because I love the mindless kind of going back and doing the runs over and over again, and I think I would have liked this game a lot regardless. But I think adding that little extra like zest to your runs is really cool. Even like stuff that you don't even expect. I will Today I was playing. I showed up in an
Mm-hmm.
area that I've been to 20 times or whatever. And the sun's coming in on
Yeah, I
that.
see that.
Yeah, I
The
do.
heck's
I
going on?
Oh man. But yeah, so you know, the I went to an area that I've been to 20 times, and I got there and there was a new event happening that I had never experienced. And this NPC was like, "Do you want to help me do this?" And I was like, "Yes." And you go do something different on the run that you're just kind of like expecting to do the same thing over and over again. But
Mm-hmm.
I think this is kind of for the gameplay, I think it's a real gem of a game. I didn't expect to like a beat 'em up this much, but it definitely scratched an itch that I didn't know and like I wanted to be scratched, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like it makes me almost want to go back to like these other games like Streets of Rage 4, some of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, stuff like that, because I don't know what it is. It's just like, oh, this just feels like classic gaming in a way. And but yeah, there's a lot of cool unlockables here. I could probably talk about all of them, but I want to know your thoughts. I would say first of all, some closing thoughts on my gameplay experience is that if you like roguelites and you're curious about a beat 'em up, I think this is a great experience in the gameplay department.
Yeah, no, I think like the gameplay here, and apologies for the camera. I think it's the sun peeking
Yeah, it's
through
definitely the
this
sun.
window and it should go away soon, I guess. I don't. Oh, I can kind of block it out, right? Look at that. Look what I can do. Anyway, so uh yeah, in terms of the gameplay, going into this, because I also am not a beat 'em up player. Honestly, the last one I played, I did play Shredder's Revenge uh, for a bit. Maybe I put an hour or two into it, just because it was Ninja Turtles, and I was like, this is kind of cool. But I haven't really played them outside of like arcades. It hasn't really been a genre that I've been like too intrigued with, but obviously with this being like roguelike, it seemed pretty interesting. And then the gameplay, you would think I was also in that boat where I'm like, okay, can I just like spam attacks, right? Do I really need to care too much about like, getting hit? Like, for example, like I didn't understand how often do I get to heal, things like that. But the more runs you do, the more you start to realize that like there are these like intricacies with the combat where first off, like learning how to dodge, right? Because you're playing in this kind of like 3D space, right? Where you have to like move forward and back and like with the foreground and the background. That's how you can kind of dodge, right? When in a lot of games, you might be used to like a roll or just kind of like a dash, things like that. And there is like a dash that you can do, but it just kind of, because you're playing a beat 'em up, like it was something that was just like a learning curve for me where I'm like, okay, this is how I have to dodge attacks, this is how I deflect attacks, which deflecting is really cool, very useful. Ended up actually doing that a lot more and more because there are things you can kind of build on top of that, because after you deflect an attack you can punish them, and then you can get these different modifiers and things like that for when you're punishing an enemy. So I was kind of doing like a punish build for one of my runs in a way where I was just stacking up like all these damage bonuses when I was punishing an enemy, and it ended up working out pretty well. So I think that this game like is kind of like deceiving, right? Like you watch the gameplay, you're like, all right, this is like a beat 'em up. Like how in depth could it be? But there are so many different things to consider when you're like going into a new room, when you like see a bunch of enemies come after you. You're like, all right, I'm going to try to take out these enemies first. I need to make sure like I'm not getting hit too much. I need to try to deflect this attack because this enemy is easier to deflect first, things like that I was just um kind of focused on. Like, for example, like you're watching right now, like these birds, I hate these birds. So I try to focus on them first because they're usually the ones that kind of sneak up on me when I'm trying to, attack another enemy. So all those sort of things, there's, and then your typical kind of roguelite stuff, right? Like you mentioned, you have the different choices you get, you know, moving from room to room. And then even after each run, like you start to feel more and more powerful. Cause really in the beginning, you are just like, and this is normal, but you are not good. Like it's
Yeah.
just, it's rough. I know the first time I played, we did co-op together. So luckily I had you there to kind of like be like, all right, if we go this way, there's this, if we go this way, there's that. But like going in, if you just went in like solo, you're gonna get your butt kicked, I think, like, in your first run. But then, yeah, as you kind of start to unlock more things, and for me, with this Galandra, I think is the name of the character
Hmm.
that we're watching right now. I ended up just putting like everything into the points for that character. Or all my points into that character because I was like, I enjoyed using it, so I'm gonna just try to invest as much as I can into it. And then this is like my best character now. When I do my runs, I keep getting further and further. Um, so yeah, I think the gameplay has it just kind of surprises you, right? Especially, you know, I don't know, with all the great indies that we've talked about this year, right? You kind of don't think that like a beat 'em up is gonna kind of make its way into like the conversation, and this one like definitely has, just from like a uh um just from a gameplay perspective. It is very satisfying. I never played Streets of Rage 4. I never played Streets of Rage in general, at least as far as I remember. But it's it's just so crisp and it just feels so great. And I'm not good at it, but like I'm
Hmm.
getting better because it's a roguelite, which is really exciting. I feel like if this wasn't a roguelite, I would have given up on it probably already, because I'd be like, all right, I'm just not good enough. But in this, like, because you're leveling up, because you're unlocking more and more things for your characters, it made me want to kind of keep doing runs. So yeah, I enjoyed the gameplay. I will say it's kind of like there's a learning curve to it, obviously, for someone that isn't used to the genre. But I imagine if you're a beat 'em up kind of player, like you're gonna just feel right at home, I would imagine, with a game like this.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely will. I think, yeah, I think it's like this weird combination, of like you're upgrading your character like each run and keep making it stronger, but you're also getting better at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's like this compounding like effect, and it's like it's really satisfying. So there's a lot here too. There's some spoiler stuff that I probably wouldn't want to get into, but there's so much depth as well. Now, getting into the story though, um, I think that this is like probably you know, I would say the best roguelite formula for a story. I would say. I think you have this story you're following. You are, these children of this kind of magic like goddess, who they call it a forest goddess or root sisters and stuff like that. And you are these children, and you are going through these runs to like try to save magic in this world, because there is a evil person at the end that is trying to get rid of magic and kind of has these like guards, these like sentinels, going throughout the land, and there's like a lot of unrest in the world because of that, and that's why you're fighting so many different kinds of like races and stuff like that. So it's cool because you're getting a ton of lore that you don't have to pay attention to. But if you want to, you'll see like a little shining little thing that you can interact with, and then your mother will kind of explain what they're doing, and then there's these like small little cutscenes that are just you know not long, which is cool. But also like we'll talk about the art, but like some of them are really cool to look at, and it is it's neat. You kind of like really get used to this world and the three different like regions that you're going to be like experiencing is uh is also really really unique, and the characters all have like great personalities. I play as Carl mostly, like the dwarf, guy with like a gun, like a blunderbuss, and he's really funny. He's got this like Northern Irish accent, and Galandra, it has like, some some chippiness to her as well. And then there's two other characters you unlock. It's not really a spoiler. It's all in the like promotional stuff, but there's this really cool puppet character, Cider, and then also this frog wizard, Brome, who's like so cool. Really hard to like. They're more difficult to control. Like I think I see why those ones were the ones that you unlock,
Hmm.
but still really really cool, and like offer when you have multiple characters to go through these runs, it just offers some more replayability as well. And yeah, there's just like really great world building too. It's just like the thing about this that also speaks to me more than other like beat 'em ups is the fact that it's fantasy. I love fantasy, and this is like a really cool fantasy world. I think even when you were talking to me when you were watching the opening credit or opening cutscene, like this is giving me Lord of the Rings vibes,
Yeah.
and that is awesome. I mean, like it just is a really neat world. There is the first two worlds are this jungle place and then also this kind of like classic high fantasy tropes with like goblins and stuff like that. Really neat. I think the story is worth paying attention to too, and it's not like you have to like learn everything. It's
Yeah.
not like you have to like really like commit a lot of brain power to it, but you're just like, oh, this is cool. I know why I'm trying to do this, and I know the motivations of my characters. So I think the story is it definitely shines. This is a really good example of of a good story.
Yeah, you obviously played more of it than me, but I did like that the story, and you kind of mentioned this, is like integrated into like your runs, right? Where you're like unraveling more and more. I wouldn't say like the story is like anything groundbreaking in terms of like, you know, just the overall premise of it. But it still works for like the world that you're in. And honestly, for a lot of the dialogue, at least the dialogue that's kind of told to you, I kind of didn't like get hooked on it, but I appreciated like all the dialogue that happens as you're kind of on the run, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
like you hear from some enemies or you meet a character out there, and it kind of pops up in like this little like comic book, little kind of like rectangle, and I don't know, I found that to be like to hook me more than like the hearing from like the with the root sister, right? And like hearing all about that sort of stuff. I don't know, it just didn't, for whatever reason, it didn't like really hook me. But I don't think it was like a bad story. I just think it's it's nothing that's like groundbreaking for me. In terms of like the quests, like just kind of like tying into the stories, but there wasn't like, at least from what I saw, um like a way to like track or have a log of your quests. I don't know if that's something I might have missed, but I know it's on the map, but like there wasn't a way that I noticed where there'd be like a quest log or at least tell you what you've done already. So that kind of just like tied in to the story a little bit. I didn't do a lot of those, but they did start popping up. But that was just one thing I kind of noticed. But yeah, the story, I thought it was fine. Wasn't anything that like I actually kind of gave me like Sworn vibes a little bit. Which is kind of like, I don't know, the dialogue that happens as you're on a run, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I thought the story was fine.
Yeah, the quest system is interesting because they pop up until you complete them,
Yeah.
right? And they'll just be on the map, and you just know you got to go to that place and do whatever it's supposed to be. Some stuff is a little bit more ambiguous, I think. And then there's other things where you're just like, I have one quest on my map right now that I don't know how to get to yet because I keep going to that area, but I think it's probably a secret because that's another thing. There's a lot of
Mhm.
secrets in this game.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bunny rabbit thing that will be at the beginning of a level that's hanging out there. It means that there's a secret on that level somewhere. So you just gotta be like, okay, after I beat all these enemies, I gotta maybe look around a little bit, which is cool. Which is
Yeah.
cool. There's also secret bosses that I've run into and stuff like that as well, which is cool. Now, visually, comic book style, awesome hand drawn art, right? I think a great UI. It looks great. All the character designs are excellent. Um, even when things get a little crazy, like when you start upgrading your character a lot with a lot of these rituals, and like there's a lot of different effects happening. It still is like manageable to see.
Yeah.
I didn't really have any issues with that, but I mean, the art style is, I think, the first thing that kind of grabbed me. Like before I even knew what the game was, I saw like a trailer for it. And I'm like, what the heck is this? This looks like, I think there was a comic that I read, like it was like Orc Stain or something like that, like years ago. That I think
Hmm.
it was like a similar art style, and I'm just like kind of in love with this kind of art. Maybe like Squirrel Girl, I think, or Tank
Yeah.
Girl has a similar vibe, but and even the dialogue is in like comic book text, right? It's clearly, you know, inspired by that. But I think it really cool. I mean, you know, the different rituals and the effects they do, you know what you're getting, right? You like before you even start reading them, you're like, okay, I know that this is going to be water, but I got to see what it's all about. The effects that kind of get added to your moves look great. And yeah, just like
Yeah.
these really great backgrounds as well. Just a great looking game.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's definitely a really strong factor in like I think why a lot of people like take a second look at this game is because of the art. You know, yeah, like you said, it's got the comic book vibes. And I think the character design is great. The enemy design is interesting. You know exactly kind of like the move set that an enemy is going to have if you know obviously if you encountered them before based on what they look like. um you know, I think uh there's also this like bloom that's on the screen, which I know there is a setting to like turn off. I saw some people saying like it was good to turn that off. Just to, you know, if it bothered you. But honestly, it didn't bother me at all. It kind of like gave it this like 80s like
Mm-hmm.
TV show sort of vibe. You know, especially in like some of the cutscenes. But I mean the art is just such a strong point. I think the the UI is like really easy to understand. Like the combo meter is like exciting as it kind of like builds up. Like they did a great job with that. And then yeah, there's all those like secrets in the world as well. Like you mentioned, like one of them I found earlier. I had to like break some stuff that kind of looked like it was just part of the background, and I was like, "Can I go back there?" And I went back there, and there was like a chest back there with some food. I was like, "Oh, that was really cool." So I think that like they did a great job with like making the interactable items in each level feel like it's just part of like the background or the foreground of the level. So it kind of makes like there's been so many things where I like just walk up and I punch it because I'm like, can I break this? So I was like, I don't really know if I can. And I like that. I like experimenting to see because you get those like aha kind of moments where you're like, oh my God, like look what was in there. Like look what I'll make a mental note of that. So the next time I see that item, I know I can break it. Things like that. So yeah, I think the art is just like fantastic in this game. You know, you mentioned I was saying like there's kind of like the Lord of the Rings vibes in the beginning. Yeah, just really cool cutscenes. And if you're into this kind of art style, you're just gonna keep getting fed more and more of it, like the more you play. And then plus, like I almost struggle in the boss fights, especially like I'm fighting like Gamorg, the Morg or Org or whatever is
Azorg, son of
at
Zorg.
yeah, Azorg, son of Zorg, and I'm just like, I just want to like look at him because I'm like, he looks really cool, but then he's like attacking me at the same time. Um, yeah, so it's just a great job overall with like the 2D art style in the game. And I would even say like if this art style like isn't really like your cup of tea, but you love beat 'em up games, like it's worth kind of sticking it out because I feel like you'll end up like loving it. You know, it's one of those
Mhm.
games that I feel can really win someone over if they're not crazy about the art style.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Funny enough, I mean, this is, I won't spoil it, but like early on in the game, there is a secret entrance to a whole new area that it's just like a random side boss, and like I didn't even know until I started punching something, and I was like, oh. I'm at this place now. This is awesome. So
Yeah.
very, very cool. Now, another big shining point here. I mean, there's been a lot of them, but like the music, honestly, um, it is by the composer Gareth Coker, who did Ori and The
Yep.
Blind Forest, Ark Survival, and Halo Infinite. So really great stuff. But the coolest thing also is that they brought in some uh, a like guest composers for the boss battles, which is really neat. The first boss that you get to is the Necro King, and that's by Mick Gordon, who did Doom 2016, Wolfenstein. And that song is crazy. Like this heavy metal vibes with like weird cartoon horns going on. Really cool. They also got Yuka Kitamura, who did Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 2. Uh, and then also somebody else from the Dark Souls series, Motoi Sakuraba, who also worked on the Dark Souls series and Mario Golf,
Well, it's
which is
quite the portfolio there.
and then Rachel Hardy, who worked on Stray Gods and Eternal Strand. So like they had like a um, my YouTube fed me like a video, a little mini documentary of like them going through the process of scoring this game,
Mhm.
and they did all live orchestra and stuff like that, or 60% of it was live orchestra. So like really neat stuff. I mean, it's just a lot of care went into like kind of every aspect of this game. It seems like so. Uh, I was a big fan. Sounds great. The
Yeah.
voice acting. There's a few moments where the voice acting, like, well, the sound levels would be a little weird, just like with one character, for whatever reason. But other than that, I don't think I really noticed anything too crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you on the music. I mean, it's just amazing. You know, just I can play a little sample of it here. I don't know if you'll hear it, Tommy, but the listener should.
I'll pretend I do.
There you go. So I'm playing it. This is just a normal level too. This isn't even like a boss fight, but you kind of get the vibe. There's also a
Sure
lot of
do.
fighting happening right now, but um there we go. So I've muted it now. But yeah, it's just, the music fits in perfectly. It gives you this epic, like you're on this like epic journey, right? In this like fantasy world. And yeah, it's just fantastic. I mean, you just listed all those people. Obviously they have experience with like epic, you know, um orchestral
Orchestral.
orchestral sound, and it's just yeah, it's just fantastic. Like overall, I also really enjoyed, like, obviously it's a beat 'em up, so you're gonna hear a lot of sound effects from the things that you're beating up, right? And
Yeah.
like,
It sounds
there's
great.
yeah, it sounds great. There's some funny, like the goblin, like they're getting beat up. It's just really well done overall. Even like the different attacks that you can do and the attacks that the enemies do will have like great sound to them. So I don't have any like negative notes on like the music or the sound effects. I'm with you on the voice acting. Sometimes it can like feel a little weird. Maybe that's something they could like update.
Hmm.
But I didn't get too hung up on like the voice acting. I think the sound is just a real winner in this game overall.
Yeah, it was like one specific like set of dialogue one character was doing where like one sentence just sounded a lot louder. I don't know why, but yeah. I mean, like even like I was playing this game in because I played this on the Switch too, so I was playing in bed, and like Lady Fresh was like laughing at the goblins and like I mean they're hilarious,
Yeah.
so but performance wise, I like I said, I played on the Switch too. It did crash on me today,
Hmm.
but I think it was one of those things where I had never really turned it off. Right, I just kept putting the Switch to sleep, so maybe it kind of got overloaded. But I restarted it and I was right back where I was. I didn't lose any progress.
Mhm.
So, but that's after quite a few hours of playing. So that's the only issue that I ran into.
Yeah, I'm also playing on the Switch too. And yeah, I had no issues at all. I did see some of the devs, like I was watching a YouTube video on the game as well, and some of them commented on there saying that if your game like does crash or you leave, it should bring you back to like the level that you were at. So yeah, it sounds like that is the case, which is great. But yeah, I didn't have any issues from my side. Really, I mean, the only note, this is not, I guess, really performance related, but I would love to see like crossplay with this game. I know we were looking into it, and it's something
Hmm.
that they're going to be adding at some point, apparently. But I think like this is like definitely a game that, it shouldn't matter what console, obviously, like you're playing on. Um, and it would also open up the online pool as well for more people to kind of co-op together. But yeah, no actual like performance issues with the game.
Yeah, and one thing on the co-op, I think this is like maybe this is like a nitpick, but currently you can only play two players
Hmm.
co-op, right? There are four playable characters, and maybe because you only start with those two characters, that it's they kind of set it that way. But the game can handle a lot of different playable characters out there because you get companions. You can like hire mercenaries to like fight with you. So like it is possible. So I'm not sure why they didn't open it up for four players so you
Hmm.
can play as all four of them. So I hope that's kind of added too, because that would be a really neat way to kind of increase the kind of like longevity of playing this with like couch co-op and stuff like that. Like, hey, like I have all four characters upgraded.
Yeah.
Let's all play and like let's see like what kind of run we can go on. I think that would be really cool. So,
Yeah.
um
That's the other thing too that I don't know if we mentioned, but like it does have couch co-op, which is awesome.
mhm.
Like that you don't
Yeah.
get that a lot these days, right? And it makes sense for a game like this. So yeah, I totally agree about like the four-player thing.
Yeah, yeah. We played online co-op. I would like to get a couch game going at some point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just a little bit better. I mean, you know, I'd love to see a cabinet of this at an arcade too. Like, why not? Let's
Oh
just,
yeah.
yeah. But let's get to our ratings. Our ratings are as follows: our best games ever, like Balatro, etc. Certified Fresh Juice, a Steal. These are games like the Cub. From the early days of us reviewing games on sale. These are games that perhaps need a little work, or you want to wait till they're a little bit cheaper. This is stuff like Wizard with a Gun. Manager Special are things that we would maybe not recommend unless it's like a deep discount, or free to play, or maybe even just like really a specific genre that you really love. And
Hmm.
then finally, Spoiled Milk is for the games that we don't recommend to anybody. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that much of a surprise for my rating here. It is a certified fresh juice. I have to say I think this is front runner for my game of the year. I
Oh.
I love this game. I can't get enough of it. I've been playing the hell out of it. I can't wait to like win because like I keep
Yeah.
getting to the last area and then dying, but like I'm getting better every time, and I'm like, this is awesome. And then getting all those secrets and stuff like that, it's awesome. And then there's even like mounts, which would even talk about where you can just hop on like a pig or like a skeleton head and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Um, it's just kind of ignited something within me like for this genre. Like yeah, like oh wow, okay, maybe I've been sleeping on beat 'em ups for a long time. So Absolum I think is a absolute certified fresh juice for me.
Ooh. So I am giving this a certified fresh juice as well, because it's one of those games where like I need to play more of it, but I've been really enjoying my time with it. But it's one of those games where like I went in, thinking, okay, like obviously I'm going in with an open mind, like I'm willing to try anything. I don't hate beat 'em ups, but I was like, I just don't have a lot of experience with it. I don't know how much I'm gonna like this game. And I just kind of felt like the game kept like surprising me with things. And I was like, oh, that was cool. Oh, that was an interesting encounter. Oh, I really like that ability or that upgrade. And it just kind of kept happening where it was like this snowball effect where, yeah, I'm now starting to get further and further in my runs. I'm sure you're getting further than me. But I want to hop in and play. And I also want to do couch co-op. Like I'm playing this game and I'm like, this would be awesome just breaking this out with the boys, if maybe they add 4-player too, which would be even better. So yeah, I'm just giving this a certified fresh juice as well. I mean, it's just there's barely anything I can see wrong with the game, and I think that they just kind of fired on all cylinders with every category of the game. I think people that like beat 'em ups would probably love this game because of the replayability. I'm sure there's some purists out there that maybe there's like some small things that they would like to see change, but like I did see someone mention it would be really cool as your character or as you kind of leveled up or as your character skill tree level up, your character starts to look a little different. I was like, that's kind of
Yeah.
cool. Maybe that's something that happens in beat 'em ups normally. I don't really know. But yeah, so small things like that. But yeah, it's a certified fresh juice for me, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, another banger this year. I mean, it's been a great year for
It's
new
been
games.
crazy. It's been
Yeah.
crazy. I'm looking at our list, like so many certified fresh juices.
Yeah.
So many,
I mean, I don't
it's
know if we're
wild.
just picking better games, but like it does seem like we're just getting some really great games. So
Yeah.
like it's been every other game for the past one, two, three, four, five, six, seven games that we reviewed. It was a certified fresh juice, and then there was two not too long before that. Um, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, hey, listen,
Good
we want to
year.
play good games,
Yeah.
so
Exactly. I mean, we've definitely gone on streaks of not great games. So it's
some real stinkers. But
yeah.
yeah, next week we got just regular game talk. Um, and then we'll figure out what we're going to review. I mean, it would be nice to review Ball Pit because I think it is Ball X Pit or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of it seems to be pretty awesome. But yeah, we'll see. We do have some listener questions though. First comes from Campolo. If you guys were to collaborate with the following games, what would you design? First, a ball for Ball X Pit.
So well, if it was the podcast doing it, the ball would be like an orange that shoots out
Yeah.
like citrus or something and burns things, I guess. I haven't played Ball X Pit yet, so I don't know everything. Maybe there's already an orange in there. I don't know. Um
There's a
yeah,
lot of balls apparently. So
yeah, a lot of balls. Yeah. Um but yeah, I don't know, maybe something like that. Maybe, cool little orange.
yeah, it would be acidic or something like
Yeah.
that, and then it would corrode over time rather than like it
Mm,
would be a slow burn rather than like your regular acid effects that you get from these kinds of games. But
yeah.
I think personally though, ball for Ball X Pit. Trying to think of like stuff I like to do in games, and I don't know. I like defensive stuff. So like it would it would create like points of defense on hits, and then like in the game you can catch the balls back. So like each time it hit a like it would go through enemies, and each hit it got, and then if you caught it you would get like X amount of defense. That would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it could be cool. I don't know if this exists, but like a ball that if it hits another ball, it copies what that ball is and it will just keep doing that. So it's almost like a
Oh
ditto kind of ball, right?
yeah.
Where like it could, be one thing on one bounce and another thing on another bounce kind of thing. Something like that could
Hmm.
be cool.
Yeah. And then something that could be inhaled by Kirby.
Something that could be inhaled by Kirby. Uh if I had to collaborate with that, I don't know. This is a tough one. I mean, an orange, obviously, for the
An
show,
orange.
or citrus. I don't know what it would do to Kirby.
Oh, so it would Kirby would inhale the orange, and then an orange tree would grow up out of their head, and then they would shake their head to like whip oranges at people.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't
Um, could see that, I guess.
know.
Something else that could be inhaled by Kirby. Mm,
Cheesesteak.
yeah, cheesesteak, roast pork
And then they
sandwich, probably.
they start speaking in a Philadelphia accent.
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, you guys?
Yeah, exactly. Or like maybe like a meatball just turns Kirby into a meatball, starts rolling around, getting things sauced up. I don't know.
Mm,
Probably because I'm having
sounds
meatballs
good.
for dinner tonight
I'm having
with
roast
my
pork
dinner.
sandwich for
Are
dinner,
you?
actually. Yeah. Yeah, we found like some frozen pork in the freezer, so we're like, oh, we'll just crock pot it.
Nice.
So,
Nice.
um, weapon in Vampire Survivors.
Ooh, a weapon in Vampire Survivors. Um, I don't know. It's hard to think of something that like isn't already the same thing. Like, I was like thinking it'd be cool if like oranges just start shooting down from the sky, but that's like the Santa water, basically, or just gonna
Yeah,
like leave, like it already kind of exists, just like looks a little different. Um, I don't know. Maybe like, oh man, it's too bad. Like we're not banana themed because I'd be like, I'll just drop bananas and have everything slip around me, something like that, or banana peels. I don't know. What are you thinking, Tommy?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's already so much stuff in Vampire Survivors, but like I would throw like Monster Energy drinks,
Yeah.
and like when it hit like an enemy, they'd go berserk and like attack everything around them, yourself
Ooh.
included if you're around them. But
Yeah.
you'd be like, you go like, boom, your name's Kyle now. You just drank a white monster and you're going wild.
Going wild, Kyle.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what we do. Thanks for the question, Capolo, as always. Our carp comes in and asks, would you rather have your hands be sticky all the time, no matter what, and you can't wear gloves? I misspelled that. You can't wear gloves, etc. So like you always like you
Oh,
have maple syrup on
when
your
they said
hands.
you can wear gloves, I was like, I'm choosing that one. Like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
wear gloves.
Or every time you sweat, it's mustard.
All right. So, would I rather have my hands be sticky all the time, no matter what, or every time I sweat, it's mustard? How sticky are we talking here? Like Spider-Man sticky, or just like I put my hand in like honey sticky?
Like honey.
Oh, so not functional.
Yeah.
Um, I I mean, honestly, I'd probably do the every time you sweat it's mustard because then maybe I could like sell mustard. But then I think what happens when I sweat in the middle of the night and I just wake up in a bunch of mustard in my bed? Like that's terrible. I just wouldn't want my hand, I don't know, I don't want my hands to be sticky all the time.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
would bother the hell out of me versus like maybe every time I sweat it's mustard, I'll just move to like the Arctic and I won't go outside and break a sweat. Or yeah, I don't know. At least I could maybe sell mustard somehow and just not tell
Yeah.
people how I'm making it.
Yeah. Where did this come from? Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm on the mustard train too. I can't have. I hate when my hands are sticky.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but thanks for the question, Arcarp, as always. Let's go down to the rec room where we recommend something that perhaps isn't in any game. What do you have to recommend for us today?
So I mentioned this a little bit last week that I started kind of playing it again. It's a game called New World, which obviously came out a few years ago, and I think a few years ago, yeah, right, 2022, I think, and they have apparently kind of revamped a lot of the game, especially like the onboarding for new players. And they just recently released, I guess, like some big DLC is now free for everybody, um, and yeah, so I just kind of hop back into New World. I've been playing a little bit at night, and I've been really enjoying my time with it. I'm leveling up a lot quicker. I think they've made some improvements there where it feels a lot less grindy, at least so far from what I've played. There's mounts in the game now, so it's been cool. I just got my first mount last night, and so that makes kind of traversing the world a lot easier. I feel like they just kind of made so many like quality of life things, and I've been watching some streams of it of people that are kind of more towards the end game, and there's some really cool stuff you can do. Which I don't know if this is technically an end game thing, but they added something called catacombs, where it's essentially like a procedurally generated dungeon. So every time you go in, it's
Oh,
going to be a little different. And I'm like, that's kind of cool, like it kind of like adds, a lot of replayability, and there just seems to be a lot to do. So yeah, I've been really enjoying my time, and honestly, it has gotten to the point. I'm not the only one that's been enjoying my time because every time I log on to the game at night, the queue is longer and longer to get into the server. Last night it was like 1,600 people. I had to wait like 30 minutes. I just
oh
watched
my
like an
God.
episode of TV just for it to go in to the server. And the previous nights it's been like a few hundred, so I haven't had to wait that long. But yeah, it's been cool. I've been really enjoying New World. I know another buddy of mine is playing it. So if anyone else out there wants to hop back on New World and wants to play or something, just let me know. But I've just been kicking it solo and really enjoying it. I already owned it, so I figured why not try it out, and it's been better than it was at launch. So yeah, just been having fun and killing some time with it.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, I played a little bit of that initially. It's in my library, so maybe I can hop back in. I don't know. Um,
it's a time
it's
suck, that's for
it is a
sure.
time suck.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of other games I want to play. So,
yeah.
and on top of Flesh and Blood, but I'm recommending it's a YouTube channel, but primarily it's a Discord server. It's called Spire Helm Archive, and I found this through TikTok, and basically, there's this one song that everybody on TikTok, like guys like us, know. It's the do 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 do, where they would show like the AI dark fantasy like
Yeah.
compilations, right? And this guy's like, I love watching these, but they always feel like they're lacking substance because it's not real. It's all AI. So he's taken it upon himself to create a collaborative creative project called the Spirehelm Archive, where they have this whole Discord where people are just world building this dark fantasy place, whether it's creating art, writing stories, and
Yeah.
there's different roles you can do in there. You can be like a wanderer, like somebody who's just like, oh, this is something I found in this realm, in this area,
Yeah.
or I discovered a new area, and like basically there's, I guess it looks like I haven't submitted anything. I just scroll through and I'll read some stuff, but like you can be like submit lore to be reviewed, and then if it's like a okay, they're like it's added to the archive. So
Wow.
it's like this. It's like a really. It's incredible. I was like, because the TikToks weren't getting a crazy amount of views, and I saw the YouTube had like maybe 1,000 subs or whatever, and then I go into the Discord, and I'm like, this is so active. There's like so many people just writing stuff. It's so cool.
And
So
you can is it moderated? Like can you just be like, you know,
no,
you
yeah,
just
there's a bunch of submission rules and stuff
oh,
like that.
okay.
So like, um,
But you could submit
basic
your own lore, like if you wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, you can
Yeah.
go through. You just like, okay, I found this artifact, and this is what this artifact's all about, and you know, it its history reaches back to this realm event that we found. Like, you can start referring it to other people
Uh
that created this lore. It's a really cool thing. I'm like,
yeah.
it's a lot to like take in, just because like I think Discord in general is a lot to take in, but like there's all these different discussions going on. I think it's really neat. So, and it's like the whole thing is like we're like no AI. We're actually gonna create this thing
Yeah.
that we keep seeing. So, very cool.
Yeah.
Spire Helm Archive.
That's awesome. Also great name.
Yeah,
just an awesome name. I was like, what is this when you put it in the rec room notes? Like Spire
yeah.
Helm Archive. I was like, is this a song? Is this an album? That's pretty cool. Very cool idea for sure. I would love to see kind of what the end result, like when's the cutoff, right? And like what
I think it's
are
just
just
it's
forever.
almost like based on how I'm reading it, they're just gonna keep building this world out,
Yeah.
right? I mean, think about it. Like, think about all the history and real life stuff we have in our regular world. I mean, I think you could
Yeah.
just probably keep rocking,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. But
Very
yeah,
cool.
Spire Elm Archive, and yeah, it's gonna do it for the show, folks.
Yeah.
I have been Tommy Fresh. I have another podcast called Fresh and Buds. Check it out. You can find me on all platforms at Fresh Buds Pod. You can find us on all platforms at Fresh Juice Pod. Where can people find you?
Find me at Matty Gorm, GRM, on all the socials. Been more active on YouTube, and hope to see you over there. Another good
Yeah,
ep.
good app.